Something quietly changed inside the NFL and almost nobody noticed. Undrafted players are now being locked into deals faster than ever, young stars are getting paid earlier, and teams suddenly have more control than before. It looks like progress, but behind the scenes, it's a completely different game. But this new normal comes with a hidden catch. Something quietly changed inside the NFL, and almost nobody noticed. It didn't come with a big announcement, no breaking news banner, no league-wide controversy. But behind the scenes, the rules around rookie contracts have been completely reshaped. Undrafted players, guys fighting for a single opportunity, are now being locked into standardized 3-year deals almost instantly. No real negotiation, no waiting game, just sign or risk losing your shot entirely. At the same time, drafted players are still on their 4-year paths. First-round picks still carry that 5th-year option, but even that structure is starting to feel different. Because now, teams aren't waiting anymore. Extensions are happening earlier, decisions are being made faster, and the timeline for proving yourself in the NFL, it's shrinking. On the surface, it all looks more organized, more efficient, maybe even fair. But when you look closer, this standardization starts to raise a bigger question: who is this system really built for? Because what seems like structure might actually be control. The moment an NFL hopeful goes undrafted, everything changes, but now it's happening faster than ever. Instead of testing the market or choosing the best situation, players are being pushed into immediate 3-year deals, standardized, non-negotiable, and quietly limiting their options. It looks like a lifeline, but it can quickly turn into a lock-in. For these players, this is supposed to be their one shot to prove they belong. But with less flexibility and almost no leverage, they're committing to a team before they truly understand their role, their opportunity, or even their chances of making the final roster. And if things don't go their way, they're stuck in a system that already moved on. Teams, on the other hand, take almost no risk. They secure talent early, control development, and can move on whenever it suits them. It's efficient, but not always fair. Some fans believe this is just the cost of chasing an NFL dream. Others see it as a quiet shift in power, one that benefits teams far more than players. Because what looks like an opportunity might actually be a trap. Something is quietly shifting across the NFL, and it's happening much earlier than anyone expected. Teams aren't waiting anymore. The old timeline where players prove themselves for 4 full years before cashing in is starting to disappear. Now, the moment a young star shows potential, the clock speeds up. Extension talks begin after year 3, sometimes even earlier behind closed doors. At first, it sounds like a win for players: get paid sooner, lock in security, avoid injury risks. But the reality isn't always that simple, because when deals happen earlier, they're often based on projection, not full proof. And that means teams can secure elite talent before their true market value fully explodes. We're now seeing negotiations happen in the spring, during training camp, even in the middle of the season. The pressure builds faster, the decisions come quicker, and for young players, one breakout stretch can suddenly define their entire financial future. Some teams are aggressive, others stay patient. But across the league, one thing is clear: this isn't ikrat anymore, it's becoming strategy. And this new timing is starting to create situations nobody saw coming. Something is building around CJ Stroud, and it's getting louder way sooner than anyone expected. He hasn't even reached that traditional contract window yet, but the conversation is already starting: extensions, value, long-term commitment. And that alone tells you everything about where the NFL is heading. A few years ago, this wouldn't even be a topic. Teams would wait. They'd want a larger sample size, more seasons, more proof. But now, one breakout run, one elite stretch, and suddenly the pressure flips. Fans start asking questions, analysts start debating numbers, and teams have to decide: do we pay early or risk paying a lot more later? For a franchise, locking in a quarterback early can look like a masterstroke: beat the market, secure your future. But it also comes with risk. What if the performance dips? What if the early success doesn't hold? That's the gamble teams are now willing to take. Some believe this is just smart evolution. Others think it's rushing decisions that used to take years. And if this trend continues, the quarterback market could change faster than anyone is ready for. Inside NFL front offices, the approach is starting to look calm on the surface, but behind the scenes, it's anything but simple. Teams are no longer following a fixed blueprint when it comes to contracts. Instead, everything has become situational. Timing, performance, cap space, even locker room dynamics all factor into one decision. You'll hear executives talk about being flexible, but what that really means is calculated risk. Every player is evaluated differently. Some get extended early to avoid future price spikes. Others are deliberately pushed to wait, forcing them to prove more before any serious commitment is made. It's a constant balancing act between securing talent and protecting the franchise. And the toughest part? There's no perfect timing. Move too early and you risk overpaying based on a small sample. Wait too long and the market explodes, costing you millions more. So teams are forced to thread the needle, making decisions that could define their roster for years. From the outside, it looks controlled, organized, strategic. But internally, it's a pressure-filled process where one wrong call can shift an entire franchise's future. And this is exactly where even the smartest teams can get it wrong. Across the league, a bigger shift is starting to take shape, and it's not just about contracts, it's about power. For years, elite players and their agents had the upper hand once performance was proven. Big seasons meant bigger leverage, but now, with standardized deals and earlier extensions, that balance is quietly changing. Teams are gaining more control over the timeline. They decide when talks begin, how early value is set, and how much risk they're willing to take. Players, especially younger ones, are being pushed into faster decisions, sometimes before they fully understand their true worth in the market. Some fans believe this is just the NFL becoming more efficient. Others think it's a system designed to keep costs predictable and stars locked in before they can demand more. There are even whispers that agents aren't entirely happy with how quickly these deals are being pushed, though nothing has been confirmed. What's clear is this: the gap between opportunity and control is getting smaller, and not in the way many expected. Because if teams keep gaining leverage like this, the entire player market dynamic could shift overnight. What looks like a small change in NFL contracts is actually the beginning of something much bigger. Faster deals, earlier extensions, and standardized structures are quietly reshaping how careers unfold. Players are being evaluated and locked in sooner than ever, while teams gain more control over the entire process. It's efficient, it's strategic, but it also raises a bigger question about who truly benefits as this system evolves. Because if this trend continues, the next generation of stars won't just play the game differently, they'll have to navigate it differently too. And this shift might only be getting started.